Hello students, welcome to Legacy Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss in detail about a recent protest that has erupted in the Gaza Strip region. However, this protest is not against the state of Israel or Israeli action. Rather, this protest seems to be targeting the Hamas, the terrorist group, or we can say the organization behind the management and administration of Gaza. So it seems now that people of Gaza have turned against this organization itself, and that makes sense obviously because of continuous for past few years the people here have suffered extreme sense of misery, deprivation of basic resources, and the entire region has been decimated and destroyed and look like nothing but a rubble. So let us try to understand in more detail about this particular topic. What is the reason behind this protest and what it basically means in the context of the geopolitics of Middle East, especially Israel and this Hamas, or we can say the Gaza region. Now, the context of this topic is recently on the social media platform as well as on the X platform, a lot of such kind of images and videos have been published where the protesters seems to be walking on the rubble or the paved, we can say the destroyed roads of Gaza, and they are demanding an end to the war. Apart from that, they also, we can see the posters are there which is talking about that we do not want war, stop this war. And also some of these protesters have even talked about or have chanted Hamas out. That means they are already fed up and tired of the Hamas inside Gaza, and they now have begun to believe that if Hamas loses the control, or basically we can say if it gives away the control to the other groups such as Fatah and Palestinian Liberation Organization, in that case peace can prevail in the region. So a rare public show of opposition is something that we can understand, because people are obviously scared of Hamas, as Hamas, as you know, is a very violent terrorist organization as categorized, and that is why even inside Palestinian land, inside Gaza Strip, whenever anyone has protested against the Hamas, it has not turned out well or good for them. So this is something we can consider as a rare, and people are so tired up that they do not care about the repercussions and consequences, even if they raise their voice against the Hamas. So out, 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 Hamas, get out. That is the kind of chant which has seemed to be originating from the Beit Lahia region of the Gaza. Beit Lahia region, if you try to look at the map, is situated basically in the northern part of Gaza. If you look at the present map of Israel, Gaza is a narrow strip along the Mediterranean coast, and in the northern part of Gaza is where the Beit Lahia region is situated. Now, this is also what people and experts from this region argue is not a well-planned rally. It is a spontaneous rally where a group of people began to come out on the roads as a show of resistance against Gaza, and then more and more people have joined, obviously because they are tired of this prolonged protected warfare. They have no place to go, because especially if we talk about the northern part of Gaza, it is believed that more than 90% of the houses, whether it is residential houses or commercial building, have been completely razed and is destroyed due to continuous Israeli bombardment and missile strike in the last few years. Many have chanted slogan of out Hamas, and people are exhausted, and obviously here you cannot blame that why people are going against the Hamas, the representative of the Gaza Strip itself. The reason is because they are tired and fed up. Now, if we try to understand about the Israel and Palestine situation, if you look at this particular map, we can see Israel is having control over this entire territory. And then the Palestinian people, largely talk about, are residing in two main regions. One along the border of Jordan, where the place is called as West Bank. The West Bank because it is lying to the west of Jordan River, or on the west bank of Jordan River, which flows through here and then drains out in the Dead Sea region. The Dead Sea, which is the most saline water body of the earth. So here if you talk about, this is the West Bank, and largely in this area situation has remained peaceful, and the control over this area is exercised not by the Hamas but other group representing the Palestinian interest, that is Palestinian Liberation Organization or Palestinian organization under the control of Mahmoud Abbas. And one small section of Palestinian population also live in this narrow corridor of Gaza, which is sharing border with Egypt to the south and along the entire Mediterranean coast, and then from all the three sides it is completely covered by the Israeli territory. So it is in this region where Hamas has exercised control for past several years, and it is this region which has suffered the repercussions of the October 7, 2023 attack that was conducted on Israel. And in the Gaza Strip, if we go further and look at this entire area, this narrow corridor has several major settlements. In the northern settlement is believed to be the one that has been destroyed most. The reason is because the presence of Hamas and Hezbollah is largely seen on the northern border. The reason is because it was well connected to Lebanon and it was near to the Lebanon, which lies in the northern part. So in the beginning, I told you it is a Beit Lahia region from where the protesters have chanted the slogan of out Hamas. Apart from that, nearby other major settlement that you have is Beit Hanun. Then you have Deir al-Bala, that is in the central part. Then you have Khan Yunus, that is in the southern part, and Rafah, that is where you have the border with Egypt. That is also popularly called as Rafah crossing. So Rafah, Khan Yunus, Deir al-Bala, Gaza, Zabalia, Beit Lahia, these are the important settlement where you have the maximum density of population and houses there. And this northern region is where we have seen the extensive damage. Now, as I told you that in terms of the representing Palestinian interest, the Palestinian organization itself can be divided into two groups. One which is referred as the Fatah organization. So, in the decade of 80s and 90s, Fatah has diluted its stance and it changed its stance where earlier it used to demand for having a single state in the entire region, including the Israeli territory, for the Palestinian people. But later on it changed and it shifted stance, official stance, calling from a single state to supporting a two-state solution. And two-state solution is basically where both the state of Israel and the state of Palestine can exist together peacefully without any kind of dispute. So this is the solution that was proposed under the UN declaration as well, and that is what has been accepted by Fatah and PLO. And as we know, the most significant leader and the well-known popular leader of PLO was Yasser Arafat, who died early in the 2008. Now, Fatah movement called on Hamas to respond to the call of the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. So basically, you have to understand there is a political game also being played here. Obviously, if Hamas loses the control over the Gaza Strip, it will be the Fatah who will take control of the administration of this region, and that is why they want to do so, and that is why they have also targeted Hamas, saying that you should referred and respond to the call of Palestinian people. You should basically now stop any kind of bloodshed, any kind of counter attack on the Israeli territory. Fatah leads the Palestinian Authority, as you discussed, in the occupied West Bank, and West Bank also occupied because a large part of West Bank is currently under the control of Israel, and currently the leader of Palestinian Liberation Organization is Mahmoud Abbas. Now, if you look at the Hamas and try to understand how it is different from the Fatah on PLO, so first difference is in terms of the end goal. As I told you that Fatah changed its goal from having a single state to a two-state solution. Hamas, to the other hand, is more Islamist, more militant and radical in nature, that formed in the year 1987, and it has championed and still believes in the idea of total control of the entire region. That is from the river to the sea is the chant or the slogan they have given. River, if you remember, I told you, in the western part of West Bank you have the Jordan River, and then on the eastern part you have the Mediterranean Sea. So they believe that the entire land from the west bank of the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea belongs to the Palestinian people, and it has not compromised with that stand. It has taken a very hard line stance. It was in the year 2007 when it took control of the Gaza in elections, and it was this election that basically led to the demise of Fatah group of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. However, on the October 7, 2023, we know that Hamas launched an attack in the Israeli territory, killing thousands of people and also basically taking a lot of people hostages. Some of them have been released under the ceasefire agreement that was signed in the month of January. However, because of the action of Hamas, Israel has responded and retaliated, and as a result of this retaliation, it basically we can say the entire Gaza Strip has suffered the damage. So it has ruled the enclave since then, offering little space for opposition. And even now, when Hamas agrees that as a part of ceasefire, it will basically give away the control, the political control of the region of Gaza Strip, it is still believed that whichever administration comes next to govern the region of Gaza Strip, Hamas should be involved to some extent in taking a call or making decision or accepting decision in that regard. So still Hamas do not want to lose their complete political control and power in this regard. Now we talk about the political tension that also erupts because of the inter-faction rivalry that we can say, because the Palestinian interest itself is divided into the Fatah group and the Hamas group. So due to this political tension and the non-acceptance of Hamas to seize, or what we can call as to this transfer power to the Fatah group, more than 50,000 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli campaign in Gaza after, as we discussed, October 7, 2023 killing. Much of the narrow coastal enclave has been reduced to rubble. Hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced. They have become refugee, and they had no other option but to flee the war-torn region of Gaza to the nearby countries such as Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, etc. Now, there was a hope that was rekindled among the mind of people when in the 2025 beginning month of January, Israel and Hamas reached a settlement where they agreed for a ceasefire, and this ceasefire had to take shape or take place in three different stages. But at the same time, we can see and we have seen that after the first stage itself, the entire ceasefire basically has come to an end. So many of the refugees with this hope returned back that now peace will prevail in that region. And again on the 18th of March, Israel has retaliated, or Israel we can say has again launched its offensive campaign toward the Gaza region. And again the fate of all the refugees who returned back with hope seems to be vanished or seems to be vanishing away. And that is, it is this region, it is this particular, what you can say, is acting as a catalyst. This particular factor is acting as catalyst which has led to a protest against the Hamas, even chant of out Hamas. Now if we talk about the entire situation that has unfolded in Israel also, to understand and have a better grip on the situation, that in the month of January Israel agreed for a ceasefire, but why in the month of March it has again started and relaunched its offensive campaign against the Gaza Strip. And the reason we can understand from the simple fact that still the Israel's two-stated goal has not been completed. The first goal was that to decimate Hamas completely so that it cannot emerge as a threat against Israel, and that required complete demilitarization of the Hamas. And second was to ensure that Hamas also do not come up as a significant political party, and that requires Hamas to seize control, or what you can say, transfer control to the other groups. But both of these we can say that this goal of the Israel did not materialize. Also, we talk about Israel itself is witnessing a political circles where many of the right-wing supporting parties who has propped up and supported Benjamin Netanyahu, the current prime minister regime, they also wanted to Israel to still carry on the strikes against the Hamas and the Gaza Strip region. So, if a permanent ceasefire, if Israel indeed had gone ahead with, if especially talk about if Prime Minister Netanyahu had gone ahead with, it would have ended his nearly uninterrupted 15-year rules. For example, you talk about one of the major coalition partner led by Bezalel Smotrich. He has clearly stated that he will leave the coalition if Mr. Netanyahu progress to phase 2 of the ceasefire negotiation instead of restarting the offensive. And even in the January, when ceasefire negotiation came to effect, Itamar Ben-Gvir, again major important right-wing leader of Israel, he already has left the coalition. So now again, since the strikes have resumed, Israeli leader regained another far-right partner in the form of Itamar Ben-Gvir. So this is also we have to keep in mind while talking about the recent development. Now, before launching attack on the Gaza Strip, Israel also has taken certain measures such as stopping or halting the import of food, fuel, and other humanitarian aid. And this has played a very important role because if we talk about Hamas, it has a certain political goal. It wants to create a state of Palestine throughout the entire region of the what you can call as Israeli territory as well. And unless and until that goal is achieved, obviously Hamas can go on and fighting, especially as it is getting indirect support from the Iran as well. Now, apart from that, we have to understand people generally want to live a normal life. And if they have shortage of basic amenities, if they do not know tomorrow whether they will be able to see sunrise or not, obviously it will create a lot of panic and fear among the mind. Now, in the beginning, for few months, in the disturbance, when disturbance goes on, they can accommodate it, they can try to live through it. But since it has been going on for so many months, so many years, now people themselves have become tired of it, and that is why they have started protesting against this. Plus, cutting off electricity also was done. Desalination plan had come to an halt that supplies drinking water. So you can understand how dire is the situation in Gaza Strip. People do not have basic amenities such as food, water, electricity, and all that. And Israel also has said that it would not withdraw from a strategic corridor in Gaza border with Egypt as stipulated in the agreement. That also will create a problem for the people who might want to migrate or flee to the Egypt from the Gaza region. So all this we can understand in the combined form has resulted into a kind of protest, a sudden protest that has erupted against the Hamas as well. So that is all for this particular video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your fellow aspirants, as well as subscribe to our channel for more such helpful content. Thank you very much.